Okay, I just learned that Takeuchi has a hybrid electrical excavator. Now what this means is they've got their standard diesel generator and diesel power. Then they have an entirely different system for an electric system and its own hydraulics that do the exact same thing. And the electrical system only currently works with an extension cord that is incredibly thick and cumbersome. And so here's what I think is an important adaptation. So number one, the cord can be a self-retracting cord that comes out. This is currently not in place. So there can be a self-retracting cord with 200 feet of thick, both 110 and 220 power. So this would be the optimal system where you just have an adapter at the end, a smart charging port here that gauges the voltage and can feed the system. Now, the charging protocol needs to charge each battery independently in order so that you have a fully, so the batteries would have the full charge of the electric, which might be around 400 volts. I think that's the process that Takeuchi has gone, is let's say 400 volts. So each battery would generate 400 volts for, let's say, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever. We'll say 30 minutes. So 400 volts, 30 minutes at the ability to power the entire machine. Now what this means is that these battery units, which there's a couple of design features I think that are quite valuable here. So you have on the side of the machine two panels that fold down on each side of the machine, because we're trying to get a battery that weighs maybe 80 to 100 pounds, so that one person can lug it, two people can carry it easily. The batteries each have little built-in storage handles for easy grasping, and they're tough, all-weather batteries. Now, the next point is that the holes, the battery connectors, are recessed, so that you basically have a cylinder that's like this, with all plastic and a dust guard right up at the top, with a key handle that's inside. And what this just means is you can't get hooked on a construction site if it's out in the rain. There's no biggie, and these pieces can charge separately. The chargers for each battery you just have a plug into a house of whatever voltage or a generator, and you just set the battery down vertically right in here. And this unit, which is designed to be handleable, that I can lift it myself, but very easy with a two-person setup if you want to make it easy, that an individual battery can be moved over to a charge away from the machine if the machine is out in the middle of nowhere and you need to take batteries home in the evening, etc. This modular unit means that you can run a machine on a single battery, meaning if you lose all power, you need to move the machine, you can keep a spare battery in the truck. You can, in fact, have a charger in your truck so that anytime you're driving, you're charging one of your batteries. This is something that a diesel excavator, and let me just back up here. I owned a Takeuchi for a number of years, and first of all, I bought a catalytic converter. That cost $1,300. Secondly, I needed to wear earphones all the time because the noise was so bad. Thirdly, there were safety issues with the machine because if the crew said, hey, and I've got it on full throttle, I can't hear them. So if I'm swinging around with this bucket weighing a ton and someone walks into space or said, hey, and they think I heard them, but I didn't because of this loud diesel noise, they get whacked and killed by a one-ton bucket. If a truck's backing in and doesn't, there's all kinds of situations where the safety basically goes up by 200% if this thing is silent. So 200% increase in safety. Now, even with the catalytic converter, I would get sick at times from the combination of the vibration, the noise, and the constant diesel in high heat. So we now have health improves by 300% on this electric system. Just add in air conditioning for the heat, you've got complete silence, and you've got lower stress, which is a core health concern, because you can't hear anything. And you've got to keep moving to stay efficient, but you know that you're operating in a certain amount of blind spot, and there's an anxiety to that. So with my gas mask, plus the catalytic converter, plus this, and then having to pull that stuff off to communicate, turn the thing off, that's lost time. You don't have to lose that time so you've got incredible benefit to electric. And it's so irritating, the noise to the neighbor, of powering on. So as a contractor who's conscientious, I'll use hand laborers because they're silent, but they're not half as efficient as a powerful machine. And so there's just tons of value on the table here. So just to give a little bit of context. And I'd have one of these if they weren't gas, but so this needs to be invented. So we've got our pull-on charger here, which, these things can be $80 chargers, so you can have 5 or 6 of these chargers separately, and it's the same amount of time it takes to go to a diesel station, fill up 5-gallon buckets, and then you use a 5-gallon bucket worth of diesel every day in an 8-hour day. So you don't fill up the tank with just one diesel. So you've got an easy solution that is 10 times better. And I don't think we're dealing at higher cost, or if we are, not much. And if there is a higher cost in, let's say, these batteries to be top of the line, add $10,000. So rather than being a $50,000 machine, it's a $60,000 machine. The amount of benefits going to a diesel station, repairs, fueling and stuff of that, oil, the amount of stuff that you save is easily offset in a lease type situation. So we have these panels that drop down on the sides, and this gives you access to 3 or 4 of these. You pull them out, set them on chargers, or take them back home to set on chargers. Or you swap them out with the already charged batteries that are in your truck. Because you can keep a double set if you want, if you're doing a lot of intense work and just want emergency backup. Then you've got the 1 to 200 foot extension cord that's on a giant wheel inside this machine, so that it can't kink, and it's easily maintained. It's spring loaded. It's a great setup. Just kind of like a self-retracting hose where you pull it out and you yank it a bit and then it catches on a barb and stays there. So this can go into the house at night for some of your charging. The charger fills one fully so that you've got full power, then goes to the next one fully so that you've got full power, then the next one. And this is important to note because as a contractor, there's many days when I've got lots of stuff to do and I have the machine sitting on site to help. In one day, let's say in one day I need to move 3 large rocks, and that's it. That takes 30 minutes. Now I'm going to leave the machine there because that's my job site, and there's just 30 minutes of stuff, but I need it. And I'm not going to rent something just for 30 minutes, pay them $150 to bring a machine out, then go back just for 30 minutes. So I'm going to have it there for 30 minutes. But what that means is that a single battery would work. So you'll be able to buy this machine empty of batteries and run it just off of its main power, which makes it an incredibly cheap machine because there's no diesel motor and you're buying it completely empty or with one battery just for loading and unloading, and then you plug it in on the site. So this is version number 1. And you can put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 14 different batteries. You can easily add more. We've got plenty of space up here. I think that we need to have enough, to do the calculations to see is it a 30-minute battery or not. You'll need to be able to run it constantly for 12 hours. And I think that would be the goal, that the machine comes with enough ports for batteries that if you loaded every port, it could run continuously without stuff here for 12 hours. I think that's a good metric for me as a contractor. Now, knowing that you might want to run a machine 24 hours just means you'd need another backup set of batteries. So you'd run the machine for your 12 hours and then show up with your rig with your spare batteries, swap them all out in a few moments, put those on the charge so that within 12 hours they're all charged. And you've got a 24-hour machine that's running much better than diesel because diesel gets very hot. It would not be kind to the neighbors or anything to run something for 12 hours normally, but with electric it's fine. So this is the setup, and inside you have 2 different possibilities. And actually, as I'm thinking about it, I like this one better. So here would be the battery design. It would have a single hole in the middle, and the connector would be like this, so that inside each machine you would then have a single spike that looks a little bit like a headphone jack with this gap of plastic in between, so that the brush elements here, it would be a brush design, and this would also be replaceable for periodic contact changes because it's inserted, so that this insert could be replaced from time to time just by swiveling it out and screwing a new one in. And then we've got the core piece here that stays brushed and clean every time you pull a battery in and out. It's a little bit like a plumber using those little plumbing copper brushes that keeps the metal contacts very, very, very clean. And there could easily be a spray that you'd apply on there every 4 to 6 months to keep this point. And so inside the machine, you'd have these holes that would be like this. And this, the reason I've switched in this from a dual point to this is, it's not that the dual point couldn't easily work if you have a top marked on the battery. If you just said top on one side, you'd slide it in and the pins would line up perfectly. But if you want to have that much more flexibility, having this dual pin in a single hole, this single pin that has 2 contact points in a single hole, much like a headphone jack, you just can't go wrong no matter which way you turn it. Since it's a square hole and it's a square box, you'd slide it in accurately. Now, all these little things just make it easier for you as a contractor. So you have your easy pull out and exchange. You decide how many batteries you want and how many backup and how many chargers you want. Do you want 10 different chargers so you can pull 10 of these out and put them in? And you could even be doing that while you're running the machine. In other words, you could have every other one of these loaded for weight distribution while you have half of them on the charger. So this is the idea for a fully electric and fully hydraulic mini excavator, which is wonderful. You've already got the inverter to turn diesel into electricity for the lights, for the stereo, for the air conditioner. Now the entire thing can be electric. And when you design this system of pins and batteries, you can now operate, once you've set the volts at a healthy voltage for any size machine, you can now set them up so that some are in parallel, so that you could have a large machine, for example, running at 400 volts, and the small machines would run at 200 volts, and each battery is 200 volts, and they'd go in parallel when you line them up this way for a larger machine, and could run could just run at their standard 200 volts for the smaller machines. So this is the idea, and I'd love to see one of these things and buy one.